Olá, pessoal, boa noite. Vocês me ouvem? Obrigado, Ana. Obrigado, Lucas. Obrigado, pessoal, pelas confirmações. É um prazer estar com vocês aqui novamente. Já começo a ver, né, depois de 2 dias de evento, aí, entrando no terceiro, já começo a ver alguns nomes mais familiares, né? Obrigado pela presença de todos, que estão aqui com a gente hoje. E só me apresentando rapidinho, meu nome é Fernando, né, eu trabalho aqui na Experimento, e esse é um evento exclusivo nosso em parceria com a Into. Só queria pedir para vocês confirmarem se áudio está ok, conexão com a internet está ok, e pedir para vocês usarem o bate-papo também para fazer perguntas ao longo do treinamento todo, tá? No final a gente vai disponibilizar um QR Code para que vocês possam encontrar as lojas mais próximas, enfim, né, que forem mais fácil aí de acordo com a localização de cada um de vocês. E antes de passar a bola para o Nana, da George Mason University, que está aqui com a gente, eu queria convidar o Rai também, o Rai Aprígio, para se apresentar, falar um pouquinho dele para a gente e transferir aí para o Nana continuar a apresentação dessa universidade incrível que está aqui com a gente hoje. Vamos lá, Rai.
Obrigado, Fê. Pessoal, boa noite, obrigado a todos que estão aqui. Eu sou o Rai Aprígio, eu sou representante da Into aqui no Brasil. A Into é uma rede de 9 universidades nos Estados Unidos e 8 no UK. A gente existe há 15 anos e já ajudamos mais de 5 mil estudantes do mundo inteiro a fazer universidades fora, né? E estamos aí com estudantes de mais de 150 países. Então, a gente vai falar aqui um pouquinho mais para vocês hoje da gente estar trazendo essas profissões diferentes, e agora a gente vai falar um pouco de ciência da computação e resolução e análise de conflitos com a George Mason University. Nana, you're up. You're muted.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so let me just see here. Okay, so I'm just trying to share my screen with you guys now. Again, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present to you guys today. Thank you very much to Experimento as well, and Fernando, it's good to see you again. Hopefully I can, once the world opens up again, we'll hopefully see you all in Brazil again. So nice to see everybody. So today's presentation, I'm going to talk a bit about George Mason University and some of our key programs at George Mason University. As Ray and Fernando introduced, my name is Nana Bonsu. I am the Assistant Director of Marketing and Recruitment at Into George Mason University. And below is my Skype information in case anybody has any follow-up questions and so forth. Now, first things first, so George Mason University, we're a big university located in the East Coast of the United States. So we are just about 34 minutes, 24 kilometers away from Washington, D.C., and we're very easily accessible to the rest of the United States. So if you're looking to go from the D.C. area to Boston to New York and so forth, you have so many different options to be able to get there. We're located just within, in our area, we're located with about 3 different airports. So you have the Dulles International Airport, which is an international airport. And then you have the Baltimore Regional, also Baltimore Washington International Airport as well. And then the Reagan, which is more of a regional airport, more for domestic flights and so forth. And so it makes us very easily accessible for students. Now, our main campuses are Fairfax and Arlington. So you see those 2 there on the board. Fairfax is the main campus. That's where all of the programs are housed. Arlington has some of our graduate programs. And then also is going to be the new School of Computing, very close to the Amazon HQ2 campus, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. So first things first, before we get started, I wanted to show you a quick video just to highlight some of the key things at George Mason University. So I hope you all saw in the video there. The video pretty much is telling you to choose George Mason. George Mason University is a large university of many different facets and different programs. And we have many things that students can choose when they come to Mason. To give you some quick university facts, we're located in Fairfax, as I mentioned earlier. We were established in 1972, and we were essentially a small university. Fast forward to 2021, and we've grown to a size of about 37,000 students and continue to grow. We're ranked number 68 for the best public universities in the United States. And then we're 35 minutes away from downtown Washington, D.C. Now, when I keep mentioning downtown Washington, D.C., why is that important? Now, as a student, definitely want to be where the hustle and bustle is. When we say hustle and bustle, we're talking about internship opportunities, we're talking about student life, and we're talking about just in general a student experience in the United States. Now, Washington, D.C. area is famous for technology, engineering, government, also many different businesses. And so you have some of the large technology firms located in the area. And you can see on the list I have here, you have Lockheed Martin, General Dynamic, Bose Allen Hamilton, Capital One, and so many other companies in the area. Now, our Fairfax campus is very much of a what we call enclosed campus. And so it's a very safe area, very safe campus, very large. And so students are able to move about very easily through there. Typically, everything you see in the middle there is where our classroom spaces are, and then our housing spaces are on the outskirts of the main campus. So today's presentation, we're going to be talking about our academics. We're talking essentially about computer science, and then also conflict analysis and resolution. And so at Mason, we offer such an infinite combination of courses. We have many things in engineering, education, social services, health, medicine, well-being, people, culture, behavior, also environment, sustainability, and social action, and so many more. When you look at our academic strengths, you can see here, number one program that we have is the Conflict Analysis and Resolution program. We have a number 11 cybersecurity program, a number 30 ranked economics program in the world, number 68 ranked computer science program, and then a systems engineering program at number 36. So you can see we have such an infinite area and such a well-accomplished combination of different courses at many different levels. So we're going to talk about computer science today. Computer science is currently housed in our Volgino School of Engineering. And you can see here, the School of Engineering offers many other programs: data analytics, civil infrastructure, you have mechanical engineering, bioengineering, electrical engineering, cybersecurity, and then of course, computer science. Why should a student study computer science, and what exactly is it? So computer science provides students with essential background for studying design and implementation of computer systems. So when you're talking about software, computer architecture, computer software applications, and science, and then of course that also ranges into business as well. A lot of people don't know that computer science graduates can definitely work in the business area as well, and many other facets. And our program at Mason essentially emphasizes both computer science, computer systems, and then also computer software applications. And so as a student, you're going to get low-level programming, you're going to get computer architecture, language translation, ethics, and law, and then also software design and development. And you can see here on the right-hand side is where the list of programs a student can study. So if you are studying in our computer science program, you can definitely get your bachelor's in applied computer science. You can get just a regular bachelor's in computer science. And the way Mason is structured is we have what's called accelerated programs. So as a student, you can actually get your master's degree and your bachelor's degree within 5 years as opposed to the normal 6 years. That's called the accelerated track. And then you can also obviously go on to get a PhD in computer science if you want to. Now, fast facts about our computer science program. Our program has about 42 tenure track faculty. when you say a tenure track faculty, that is talking mainly about research. As a tenure track faculty member, you have to do research. They have to be able to bring money to the university and so forth. And so it's important to have mainly most of your faculty members in the tenure track. That way, students are able to get hands-on experience. You can see on the right-hand side, in fiscal year 2018, we spent about $16.1 million in research expenditures, and that dropped a little bit in 2019 to about 14.5. But those are large amounts. As a university as a whole, we spend about $149 million yearly in research expenditures. And so our faculty and the computer science degree program are essentially building themselves up to be able to give students the opportunity to get research experience. You can see here 8 years of award-winning computer science faculty. We have faculty like Professor Deb Gordon, who actually won National Science Foundation Awards, Haken Aiden as well, Sandy Das, and you can see all the different topics that they're winning on. And then I think one of the best parts of our program in terms of our faculty accomplishment is the Lifetime Achievement Awards. Example is Kenneth DeJong, who won the 2005 Evolutionary Computation Pioneer Award, which recognized significant contributions to early concepts and developments in the field of evolutionary computation. So we have pretty much well-accomplished faculty. Our student population in the computer science program, currently we have about 1,782 undergraduate students, 348 master's students, and then PhD with about 145 PhD students. So it's a big program. A very big component of our computer science program is cybersecurity. And George Mason University is ranked #1 in discovering and developing cybersecurity talent. So cybersecurity is a very lucrative career. As we're talking about careers today, a lot of students do look into cybersecurity, and not just computer science, but if you're studying information technology or digital forensics and so forth, you can learn about how to use cybersecurity in terms of hacking, drones and so forth, and also learning how to prevent hacks through that program. Now, as a student, and as you go through the computer science program, what kind of professions are you able to work in computer science? Well, the computer science field is very wide in terms of diversity in what you can do. So you can essentially go from software development all the way to database administrators to web developers. You also have the world of artificial intelligence, also known as AI. Tesla is a very big company that is known for this AI technology. And what industry experts say is that AI is the next big frontier for computer scientists who will be developing computers. And essentially, the computers will be stimulating learning and reasoning ability. Cybersecurity, as I mentioned earlier, is another rapidly developing area where computer science professions are in great demand to protect businesses, government, individuals from the growing threat of cybercrime. So just to talk about cybersecurity, with Joe Biden, President Biden coming into office, in his first 2 weeks in the office, he decided he was going to attribute a lot of the budget to cybersecurity. Now, that should tell you something. That tells you that is a lucrative job opportunity. That is an area where a lot of companies are going to be hiring people because obviously there's a lot of cybercrime that happens, and the government is trying to prevent all of that. Now, when you talk about artificial intelligence, you're talking about developing computers that simulate human learning and reasoning ability. As a student, you can also work as a computer design and engineer. You can work as a computer architect. Information technology is when you're developing, managing information systems that support a business or an organization. Software engineering, so forth. Computer theory, operating systems and networks, and then obviously software applications. These are just some of the examples of different professions in the computer science scope of work. Now, I wanted to also give you guys kind of an idea of what these kind of roles will pay out. So for example, if you are working as a computer and information research scientist, typically the median average salary in the United States is about $126,000. And this job is essentially people who research scientists, invent and design new approaches to computing technology and find innovative ways for existing technology. You also have jobs like computer programmers. So even though you're a computer science student, you can definitely get into computer programming. And those are earning on average about $89,000 a year with just a bachelor's degree. Now, you can also become a database administrator. When you talk about database administrators, these are people who use specialized software to store and organize data. And they're earning upwards of about $98,000 a year with a bachelor's degree. Information security, again, back to the cybersecurity aspect. Right off the bat, with a bachelor's degree, you're going to be earning about $100,000 a year. And you have to remember, the Washington, D.C. area, again, as I mentioned, is big on technology. That's where a lot of the companies are based out of as well. So this is just to give you an idea of what kind of jobs you're able to get. Artificial intelligence researcher is another one, and they're earning upwards of $92,000 a year. So in this space, I wanted to show you guys kind of what George Mason University does in the space of computer science. And one example is AI, obviously. When you talk about autonomous robotics, we have a lab, and you can see in the video right there, that robot is going to kick the ball. And this is essentially a lab that is a collective effort among the faculty of the computer science space. And they pretty much work with robotics. And so they're using robotics to be able to create multi-robotics and swarm robots, computer vision tracking, situated vision. So what you saw what you saw here in the video is that these robots are essentially soccer robots, and they play soccer against each other. And as a robot, obviously they cannot see the ball. So there's a sensor in the ball that gives the robot a notion to kick the ball, and then they're able to do that. This is all done by students and faculty. So as a student at George Mason University, the point of us giving you these labs on campus is to help give you that experience. And part of that will help you, especially when you graduate. And I figured I would show you some of our world-class alumni who come from our computer science program. So the first one here is Abdur Chowdhury, who is the father of trending. So if anybody uses Twitter here, he actually created the trending feature on Twitter. And he studied his Bachelor of Science and Master's in Computer Science at George Mason University. You also have Dr. Brian Blake, who is the Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost at Drexel University. And he did his PhD in Computer Science at Mason. And he was also a former executive at Lockheed Martin and General Dynamics. And the last gentleman you have is Dr. Peng Ning, who is the Vice President at Samsung Telecommunications America. And he also studied at Mason. And his mandate is obviously working at Samsung using security to protect data for enormous companies. All right. So we just talked about computer science. The next one I'll go into is peace and conflict studies. So at George Mason University, we have our Carter School for Peace and Conflict Studies. And this school is actually named after President Jimmy Carter and his wife. And so they are very good benefactors of the university. And so the university named the school after them. And of course, you can see President Obama. This is actually when he was on campus during his campaign time, way back when. And this is him visiting the campus here. Our conflict analysis and resolution program is ranked #1 in the United States. It is one of the really great programs. It's a top school in the U.S. for conflict resolution and mediation. That's George Mason University. And you have over 130 student body represented from 130 different nations. So these are people coming from all over the world to study in this program. We are the first university in North America to offer an MS in conflict analysis and resolution. Currently, we offer it at the undergraduate level as well. And with nearly 500 students each year, we have the largest cohort of undergraduate and graduate students studying peace and conflict studies in the world. Mason is also 7th in the nation in placing undergrads in the U.S. State Department's Foreign Service, with over 500 alumni working in foreign service posts around the world. And this program also offers 100% of students participating in experiential learning. Again, I keep mentioning experiential learning because as a student, when you're studying at Mason, you've got to be able to get that experiential learning, and we will provide you with all of that. So that way, when you graduate, you're a very attractive candidate when you're going for jobs. This program also offers study abroad opportunities with faculty to places such as Malta, Colombia, Hungary, Liberia, Palestine, Indonesia, South Korea, and so forth. And then we also have 4 endowed chairs and world-renowned faculty in this program. This program has also actually had over 2,000 alumni. So you can tell that it's a very, really great program at George Mason University. And the last thing I'll mention is that you have to remember, studying peace and conflict analysis, you have to be close to where it's at. And being close to Washington, D.C., which is a hub for peace building, practice, and policy, is essential. So that is really going to help you in terms of getting that experiential learning and then also getting internships, career opportunities, and using your OPT after you graduate. Now, in the Carter School, our students come to Carter School to learn from the leaders in peace and conflict analysis and resolution. So they teach students to identify underlying causes of conflict and help equip you with the cutting edge theory and practical skills to put your knowledge into action. We are also impart a thorough understanding of the values that underlie these practices. So mainly what that's trying to tell you is that you've got to be able to understand the how and make sure that it is as important as the why. So when you're talking about conflict mediation, when you're talking about conflict analysis, you're talking about becoming a negotiator and so forth. You've got to understand how and why these things happen. Degrees that you can study in this program, obviously, as I mentioned, the bachelor's in conflict analysis and resolution and the master's are both available. There are also students who decide to do other programs can study minors in this as well. So you can study a minor in conflict analysis and then also a minor in sport and conflict resolution. We also have degree concentrations in political and social action, justice and reconciliation, interpersonal dynamics, global engagement, which has a component of studying overseas as well, building peace in divided societies, and collaborating leadership. One of the really key things I like about the school is they have a lot of partnerships with other universities worldwide. So for example, they have a partnership with the University of Malta, in Malta, the country. And students are able to go there during the semester and learn from some of the other students. You can get a dual degree if you actually enroll into that program. So it's quite very international. Even though some of the youth students are coming from international backgrounds, you can still definitely be able to do a study abroad or learn from different parts of the world. Now, what are some professions in conflict analysis and resolution? So I do have to say that conflict analysis and resolution is very broad. So a degree in conflict analysis and resolution can open up a variety of professional options to you, both domestic in the United States as well as international. And this is key for you as an international student because when you go back home, you want to make sure that you use your degree to be able to work. So you can join established fields or blaze your own trail, creating a career that enables you to fulfill your vocation. So the first one here, you can work in security. So security includes intelligence services, military or law enforcement, foster relationships and trust between police and the communities that they serve. You also have education. So many people go to work in K through 12, helping with peer mediation programs, whether it's as a student or a staff advocate, help students involved in in-home or school-based disputes and so forth. You also have the legal system. So some students go to work in mediation, arbitration, negotiation, or dispute resolution. That tends to be more in the law area. You also have human resources. A lot of people don't think that with this degree you can work in human resources. You have to remember, every organization has a human resource department. When you talk about human resource, you're talking about people that help the employees and the company negotiate or mediate. So that's an area that you can work in. Public decision making, so you can work in community policy. You can work for a board of supervisors. And then also organizational change, organizational leadership. So you can become a trainer or conflict resolution coach. And then some of the parts that a lot of students like is also the international and humanitarian development, where you work for the United States government, or you work for the whichever country you're from, you work for their government. Here in the U.S., a lot of our students like to work for United Nations or look to work with World Bank, because those are multinational organizations where they have offices all over the globe. And so this degree is very lucrative for that. You also have international conflict, which talks more about refugees, talking about working with the United Nations in many of their areas where you have high level of refugees and so forth that exist. So working with them as well. And then peace building and peacemaking. Those go hand in hand. So when you're working with different companies, different consultancies that essentially promote peace building and peacemaking all across the world. Just to also give you some idea in terms of salaries, because this major is very broad, as I mentioned, you can obviously see the salary range is also very broad. You have people that are working in social and human service, which typically are people that assist and provide client services in a variety of fields such as psychology, rehabilitation, social work. They make about $45,000 per year. Then you have people that are working in arbiters or mediators or conciliators who pretty much facilitate negotiation dialogue. Those people are typically earning about $66,000 a year. Now, if you go into human resources, because these are more company bases, obviously the salaries will be a little bit higher. And so when you're working in the human resource space, you're helping coordinate or direct administrative functions in an organization. Those people tend to earn about upwards of $121,000 a year. I also put on here field service. So a field service is typically people that are working, for example, the embassy. So if you decide to work for the embassy of Brazil or Paraguay or whatever country you're from, these are people that are based overseas. So in the United States, they'll be based in the embassy in Brazil. They earn upwards of about $80,000 a year. And so this degree will help you be able to get into those areas. And then you also have logistics officers, who are people that manage contracts, material and personnel, cost-effective delivery for government. So you're working essentially for the government, and they earn upwards of about $103,000 per year. So I hope this gives you some kind of idea as to how much people kind of earn in this degree salary here. One really key component of the program, as well as I mentioned again, is the experiential learning. So we actually have our RSDM, what is known as the Reconciling Societal Divisions and Memories Lab, which works to empower conflict resolution and reconciliation practitioners with evidence-based tools and approaches for societal divisions. So societies around the world are suffering from devastating consequences. Right now, obviously, COVID is the main one here. Prior to COVID, you had war, you had famine, you had refugees, and so forth. And so this lab essentially is created to be able to look at social boundary, threat perception, social norms, difficult heritage, multiplicity of collective memories all across the globe, and be able to help fix such things. So the lab essentially is set up on campus. Students are able to go there and able to use all the tools that are available to them. You also have faculty and staff who work at the lab, and they help bring in any kind of research that they want to do to the lab as well. So that's just kind of giving you an example of some of the hands-on experience through this program that you would have on campus. Out of this program, in terms of our world-class alumni, the first one here is Tatsushi Arai, who is the United Nations Senior Mediator Advisor. And he's a scholar practitioner of peace building and multi-track diplomacy with over 20 years in diverse international experience. He actually graduated from this degree program. Then you also have Deborah Hersman, who actually is now currently a state senator in the United States. She actually was a CEO of the National Safety Council and has also served on the National Transportation Board as his 12th chairman. And she completed 2 terms as a chairman and was confirmed by the U.S. Senate on October 16th for a 3rd term. And so she studied at Mason and actually came back recently. She received the Distinguished Alumni Award from George Mason University. So these are just some of our alumni that have come through the program and have gone on to do obviously such great things. Another alumni is Nelson Mandela's grandson. So I think most of you should know who Nelson Mandela is. He was the president of South Africa. And his grandson, Siyabulele Mandela, was actually also an alumni of the program. So he actually was accepted to Yale, Cornell, and I believe NYU for his program, but chose to come to George Mason. And as you can see here, his quote, it says, "As far as my profession is concerned, George Mason is known as one of the leading universities in peace research." And so he did his peace research and dissertation work at George Mason to earn his PhD in conflict analysis and resolution here. All right, so all of that in terms of the university, in terms of the programs, why should you come to Mason? So part of that is our careers employability. George Mason University, we're located near Washington, D.C. And we've been ranked number 22 in the United States for jobs and internships for our students. We are a tier 1 research institution, as I mentioned earlier. And this is what we've really been able to use as kind of our bread and butter for students. So we've got a career-ready formula. And what that career-ready formula is essentially saying is that as a student, whether you come to earn your degree in computer science or conflict analysis resolution, we want you to gain experiences. And gaining experiences is through working on campus, using the research facilities, getting internships and so forth. And then we help you market yourself. So that's when we help you with your resume. We help you with building skills, doing interview practices, and then help you become career ready. So this formula has been really great in terms of helping our students get jobs. And one example, I wanted to talk a little bit about innovation and give you one example of what we've done at George Mason University. Delivery. So I wanted to show you that that's a little bit of innovation at George Mason. That's actually are food delivery robots. So we have on campus food delivery robots who actually deliver food to students. And all of that technology is the combination of students and faculty and staff putting that together. Another example is when COVID struck, some of our students went to our Mason Innovation Exchange and they actually created facial protection equipment and donated it to a hospital in New York. These are all examples of what we do in terms of our research. And as you see here, over 70% of our students participate in some kind of research or assistantship and so forth. And that's why we have a career success rate of 82%. So 82% of Mason graduates are employed within 6 months of graduation. And we have the #1 highest average starting salary out of Virginia Public University graduates. Again, you can see here, this is the map I showed you earlier. These are some of the companies that are just in the vicinity of George Mason University. You have Amazon, you have SpaceQuest, you have NASA, you have MedStar, General Electric. These are all companies that are based here that our students are working with. And it's all part of being that part of the career-ready formula. Amazon is building their second headquarters in Arlington, Virginia, just 6 kilometers away from our campus. So that's going to drive a lot of student experience. And they actually project to have about 10,000 undergraduates and 5,000 graduates in the field of computing by 2024. So I encourage all of you to definitely come to George Mason for that. In terms of support on campus, we provide so much support. We have 3 on-campus dining halls, 3 gyms and recreations, 5 innovative labs for students. We have a very diverse student population, 37,000 students from 135 different countries, and 450 plus student-run organizations. You can see here we have a soccer club and so many others. You also have the free museums in Washington, D.C. available to you. On campus, you can see we have our, this is the International Student Accommodation. This is the Angel Cabrera Mason Global Center. And so the example of what a room would look like is here. So this is essentially what students would arrive on campus and be able to experience in terms of housing. We also have dining right available in the building as well. I'll end it off by just giving you guys an example of what we've been able to do during the Safe Campus amid the pandemic. So actually this week, many of our students are getting vaccinated. So about 4,000 Mason students are expected to receive the COVID-19 vaccinations this week. And that's really going to give a lot of boost because we plan to have more students on campus in the fall. In conclusion, George Mason, again, is a really great university. One of our students, Zainab, as she mentions here, when I first arrived in the United States, I wasn't sure what to expect, but because I was an into Mason student, I felt less like an outsider and was embraced with our culture and new things at Mason. Another one of our students talks about the diversity here is incredible. When he walks around campus, he meets and hears people with new different languages and so forth. Again, Mason is 82% of our Mason graduates are employed in positions related to their career goals. We have the #1 program in cybersecurity, and computer science is really one of our top programs. Conflict analysis resolution is also one of our top programs. And so I encourage all of you to visit us and definitely come on. So I'm going to end it there. I know we have some time for questions, so that way we can be able to take some questions before the end of the meeting.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nana, for your presentation. Now, just before we go to the questions, let me just give a small information in Portuguese. Pessoal, a gente acabou de soltar aqui uma pesquisa sobre o evento. Se vocês puderem responder, por favor, enquanto a gente vai aqui para as perguntas. Okay, Nana, now we can go to the questions. We have here a very good question from Caio. He's asking, what is the difference between concentration, minor, and major, and if he can engage on all of these categories?
Good, very good question. So a concentration, so let me actually start off with the major. So when you apply, you actually are going to apply to George Mason University and you're going to select a major. So your major would be computer science or conflict analysis resolution. Those are typically, or like mechanical engineering, you pick the main major. Now, when you come to campus and let's say you're doing computer science, but you have an interest in business, then you can take what's called a minor. A minor just means that you're taking less credits of the certain program. And so you can graduate with a business major and then a computer science major and a minor in computer and business. That way you have exposure to both degrees. So you don't have to get a full 2 degrees. You're getting the major, which is the full one that you're going to have, but the minor will give you a sense of business experience. As a student, you can study a minor in many different subjects. So if your major is computer science, you can study a minor in music, you can study a minor in conflict analysis resolution, and so forth. You're just getting a few courses from that degree program, whereas the major is the full degree program. Now, a concentration is typically when you're studying computer science, part of computer science would say is artificial intelligence or cybersecurity. Those would be the concentration. So it's a topic out of the larger major of computer science.
Perfect, that's great. Now we have another question. This is from Nicole. She's asking if you can have work experience after graduating from a university in the US.
Definitely. So as a student in the United States, your visa allows you what's called OPT. So your OPT is optical practical training. And essentially when you graduate your degree program, if you're studying computer science, you are given 3 years to use the OPT. So you'll be able to work for 3 years in the US. If you study conflict analysis, you're given 1 year. So anything that is STEM related, science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, you get 3 years to stay in the US. Anything non-STEM, you get 1 year. And that's the work experience. Now, George Mason University, part of our career ready formula is to help you get those job experiences. So we have a career center that will help you with finding companies that are hiring students to work for. So for example, Amazon, we have about 15 students currently working for Amazon in various different departments, but they're using their OPT to do that.
Yeah, we have another question in regards to sports scholarship. I'm going to get that because we just have a few minutes. Pessoal, bolsas por esporte nunca dá para aplicar daqui. O que vai acontecer daqui são bolsas por mérito ou por nacionalidade. E aí, uma vez que vocês chegam na universidade, vocês podem fazer o que a gente chama de tryout. Então, são algumas, como se fosse um treino ali que você faz e o técnico, né, ver se você está habilitado ou não para receber uma bolsa por esportes. Mas você tem que estar no nível profissional, tá? Não pode ser, eu jogo aqui ocasionalmente. Não é isso que eles estão buscando. The final question is regarding, Bruno says he liked the university very much, and he only asked if we have mechatronics. We actually don't have that in the US. It's not a thing, right? I mean,
yeah, so I can talk a little bit about that in terms of Bruno. Well, Bruno, thank you very much for liking George Mason. We definitely would love to have you. Now, in terms of mechatronics, we don't have a designated major for mechatronics. Mechatronics deals with robotics and also obviously mechanical as well. So you can study mechanical engineering and you will still be able to get all of the mechatronics information. So you would study mechanical engineering as a major and then electrical engineering as a minor. And that will actually give you the full mechatronics. But in the US, not many universities call it mechatronics. It's just really, it's mechanical engineering and electrical engineering put together.
Perfeito. Eu acho que é isso, né, em termos de perguntas.
Eu acredito que sim. Só antes da gente encerrar, pessoal, queria dar um recadinho que amanhã é o nosso último dia de evento. Serão mais 2 palestras nesses mesmos horários. Às 7 a gente tem da Hofstra University, que fica em Long Island, ali do ladinho de Nova York. Eles vão falar sobre as áreas de produção, estudos cinematográficos e empreendedorismo, então vai ser bem legal. E às 7h55 a gente tem a St. Louis University, que fica localizada na cidade de St. Louis, no Missouri, falando sobre International Business. Então, espero ver vocês todos lá. Thank you so much, Nana. Muito obrigado, Rai.
Obrigado, pessoal. Thank you so much, Nana.
Thank you so much.
Obrigado, pessoal. Boa noite.
Boa noite,
Nana.
pessoal.
Bye.
Thank you. My pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Take care.